xTool have just dropped a new software and you're probably thinking to yourself, what the hell do I do? Where is everything? Well, this tutorial today is about me getting you back on track, showing you exactly where everything is. All those old functions, they are still there, don't worry, okay? But I'm going to show you where they are, show you how to use it, and I'll even introduce you to some of the new stuff. This is not going to be a definitive show you everything on xTool Studio. This is going to be designed for beginners and people that already use XCS just to get you up to speed and get you back on the road. So without further ado, let's get straight to it and we will get you back where you need to be. So here you are, we have the workspace for xTool Studio, and as you can see, it looks very different. It's quite a busy screen, it's got a lot going on. It's showing a load of the projects. It's showing on the left side, MySpace, templates, materials. These are all things that I will get into, maybe in further more detailed videos. This video today though is to allow you to hit the ground running, get back up to where you were and to be at a state where you can do your projects and not be impeded by the new features. So without further ado, we will get straight on. So the top right, you're going to see a new project bit there. So that is where you're going to click when you want to start a new project, obviously. You'll also see a plus symbol at the top left. You can do the same there. We're going to click that. And what that should do, it will either automatically connect to the machine you've got in place. In my case, I've got the F1 Ultra, or it will just go to a blank screen. And one thing you can do with this new version of xTool Studio is you can actually select any of the machines that are available. So that's great. If you want to pre-plan projects, if you bought a machine, if you just bought the P3, for example, you can go and make a project in this as if, I'll click on it now so you can see. So now that everything is related to the P3, it shows the camera, the rangefinder, everything. You can get your project sorted and you can be ready for when it arrives. That's a really nice feature they've added there. Or if you just want to sample something. But we're going to go back to my machine here, and I'm going to be doing it on the F1 Ultra, but this applies for everything. This is a walkthrough of the software, so let's do it. Let's get started. So you've got your machine there, you've got your status symbol next to it. If it's green, that's good. If it's not, then that tells me that you're not connected. So if you want to go into connection settings, the button is here next to it, and that will bring your device there. Or you can click here and you can also go into your device settings via this. It will show your basic information, the Wi-Fi connection down here. You can go and select device settings. This is where you adjust your fill light brightness. That's the light inside of it. The exhaust time. You can turn off your frame alarm or flame alarms and anything else. This is the area you do that now. So what next? We've also got we're going to stick with the right hand side first. We'll move to the left in a minute. You've also got your mode selection is now in the right. That used to be along the top, and to me it used to blend in. It was hard to see. Now you can click on it there, and if you want to select roller, chuck, extension, screen printing, embossment, they're all here now, and it's all within the engraving area, which makes sense to me at the end of the day. It's easier to do that. Your material library used to be at the top right, up here. It's now housed within that same area, and if we click on it, you'll see it looks very different. You've got your materials down the left-hand side right there. If I scroll through some of them, you can see. And there is also a search materials area. So I've got anodized aluminium, or aluminum as you like to say in America if you're from America and watching this. And it's a blue piece. So in this case, I've typed in anodized. And as you can see, it's brought up a load of options. In this case, that's the one I'm going to use. What I like is there are little precaution sections now that give you some guides. If you actually want to use it, it's telling you to clean the material after processing and other things. And there are some other bits in there. So we're going to click apply, and what that will do is apply it to there now. It's there. So we've got our item. We want to focus the laser on top of it. You can do that manually here by putting the number in, or you've got your autofocus section there. And let's click it and it will, you can hear it in the background probably. It is currently focusing and it's done that. That will do the autofocus. As you can see, ours is done now. Then next to it, you have the refresh background. If you've got a camera on your device, this is where it will take the picture. And as you can see, there is our blue item and it's good to go. You'll see there's not a lot else there at the moment. This area will fill up once we actually add some images or vectors, and that safely leads us over to the left side of the screen now, and let's go through it. So the top left, you've got a green xTool icon. On that, you've got this used to be along the top row up there. It's now the file, edit, arrange, object, text. It's just the area where it shows in text form a lot of the shortcuts that are now scattered around the workspace. You have a save button there. So if you want to save your project, that's where you do it. You can also now upload directly to MySpace. They give you something called MySpace, which is an area where you can save stuff on the cloud, which means if you lose all your settings, and I will say this, my computer died yesterday and I lost all my settings and I lost all of my material settings as a part of that. Well, if I was on this and it had happened, I wouldn't lose it because they would be uploaded to the cloud. Moving on, we have the import button. And if I click that there, this is where you can import photos. We'll come back to that in just a second. You've got your text button on the left there. So you click on that. And as you used to, you've now got a full-on array of text. We will go to that in better detail in a minute. You've got your vector shape tool section. It's now housed within it. We'll touch on that. And there are a few other things. So templates is something I'm not going to touch on. It's a new thing they've added. I'll do a separate video for that. Like I said, I want to keep it simple. I don't want to pollute this with stuff that isn't going to help you get up and running. There's an elements section. You will recognize that. That's where you can come and find all your element shapes, your vector shapes. And they've added a search bar in there now, which I like. So also applications. If you're looking for the material test, grid array, circular array, or the code generators for your QR codes, that's where it is. There is something called smart nesting, which I will show you. That's a new feature, but that's something that you could probably use. And there are some new things they've added in, and some of this will use the credits that you get. Like I said, I'm not going to go into these things here. This is advanced stuff, or at least complicated stuff that I don't want to put in there. I want to keep this simple for you guys. Then you have your AI make, which is the xTool AI generator. And finally at the bottom, MySpace. Like I said, this is where your projects and your assets will be saved now. That's a run through of all your settings on the left and right. What we will do now is we're going to import an image first. I'm going to show you how to adjust the image, how to crop it, how to set it based on the material. Then I will do the same with a vector image. And then we will go through the actual setup of your file and then the engraving of your file. So all of the things you need to get from start to finish. Right, so the first thing we'll go back over here and we will click on the plus symbol here, which is import. And I have an image that I've already got. So now you're going to see a box fit come up when you import an image, and it's asking you if you want to scale your image to fit your workspace. So it's going to ultimately shrink an image down. You can click no keep original size and it will open in a massive way, or smaller if it's smaller, or you can click yes scale to fit. I'm going to click yes scale to fit, and as you see, a cute little puppy will appear on your screen and my screen, and he is within our workspace. What you'll see at the top is there is miraculously appeared a bar which has X and Y coordinates, which will allow you to position it, and a width and a height in millimeters to allow you to size it. You also have your lock aspect ratio button, and what that does, for example, it's on at the moment. So if I try and resize it, the height and the width stay the same. If you click it off, and then I do that, I can now distort the image. In this case, obviously, I don't want to do that, but you might actually have a shape you do want to do that on. You can rotate the image manually by clicking the little circle button there and doing it. And what I will say is if you hold shift when you do it, it will go at even increments, about a 360-degree circle, which is quite handy. I don't know if you knew that. You can manually do it here as well by typing it in and pressing enter. So there's another thing. What else do we have? We have the arrange button. So this is up here. It's all hidden within a drop down. Bit of a pain, because one thing I was hoping they would put into this new software is the ability to right click on an image and tell it where to go. You can do the whole bring it forward, bring it back. But what I mean is the horizontal align and align center. For me, I would love it if you could right click and just do align center. You can't at the moment. So what we will do is, so here we go. You click on your image. Then if you hover over that arrow, you'll see the align. And in here, you can click align center and it will align it centrally on your workspace. You can do it horizontally, vertically, align to the top. This is where you do that. And that's really handy when you want to line things up. Then next to that, we have our reflect horizontally or vertically section. So it is all still there. As you can see, it's just a little bit packaged away. Finally, you have your offset button. That's not much help with a photo, but we can do that with our vector images. Now, how do we edit an image? How do we crop it? How do we make it black and white? How do we adjust the sharpness? Well, you select your image and then there is an edit button right there, which we're going to select. And this is where it gets a little bit complicated, I can imagine, if you're not au fait with the software. Because on the left now, you've got a load of images, and it is complicated when you first see it because I look at that and I don't know what they are by default. And there is a crop image, there is a magic edit, there is an AI enhance, but they don't look, in my opinion, they don't look like that when you first see them. I think they need to make that a bit clearer or find a way to simplify that a bit. But anyway, in this case, I want to crop that image down a bit. So top left, picture of a dog, coincidentally. If we click that, it will bring up this old trusted window, which I'm sure you've seen before, where you can adjust it manually and get our picture framed however we want. And that's a good thing. That's a feature that is still there. It's just hidden away a little bit, but you can do it. And there you go. We've got our cropped image right there. So moving on to that, there is an AI cutout feature, which you can click on. And as you're going to see, it's generating it now, and it should automatically cut the background out. There you go. You can adjust the brush size and things like that. What I will say though is it does use credit. Look to the bottom right and it uses credits. That is something I personally won't be using. I use free software online. Just Google background remover to remove your backgrounds and save your credits, because honestly, they do a better job than what that does. But I wanted to show you it anyway. So there is also a magic eraser tool, which is similar. You can select it and then it will use credits once again to remove it. I'm not going to spend too much time on these things because, like I said, this is about giving you the basics, the free things that you could do before. That's what I'm pitching this to you as. So there are the other things. There's also the filters, if you remember those. Grid, sketch, comic, all these things. And we're going to go back to original. And then you can restyle it. It looks like you can actually vectorize it, which is quite cool. I have clicked on line art. It hasn't changed. It might be in the process of doing it. Probably not. We're not interested. But the key thing here is there's an adjustment part right there. If you click on that, that is going to bring up the things that used to be along the top. So they've now got a grayscale button. That is new. Click on that, it makes it black and white automatically. Personally, when I do photos, I always make them black and white before I engrave them. It just makes it easier to do. You've got your sharpness, which, as it says, it makes the image sharper. Saturation, brightness, contrast, temperature, and tint. They're all things that were there before. They're in a different order now, but they are there. One other thing you can do is you can invert it with the button there, as you can see. But let me show you something that is a good feature they've added here. They have added an auto adjust button. And let me remind you what we're engraving on here. We're engraving onto a deep blue anodized surface. So you would need to invert your image on that, because when you're engraving onto dark surfaces, the colors always appear backwards. Look what it does when I click auto adjust. It automatically inverts that image for you, and that is brilliant. I like that. That is a feature that you should implement because it makes the image quickly ready to engrave, which is what you want. So there you go. That's how you adjust your images. And as you can see, you have the same functionality. It's just hidden away. So we've done that. So on the right here, you'll see a familiar looking screen now, and that is your settings on the right. And because we've got our material selected here already, if we click on the drop down, you've got the fiber IR reference and the blue light reference. What that means for anyone who's brand new, these are the settings that they are recommending you use. So if you click on blue light reference, when we originally selected our material earlier here, they have a number of settings they recommend to you. I'm not saying they're always great, but they're a good starting point. And what you can do is select blue light reference, then click this here, and it will give you an idea of how it's going to look on that material, which is great. Blue light is obviously for the diode, fiber is for the fiber, and a bit clearer because the fiber is great on metal. And as you can see, it automatically updates the settings according to whatever laser you're using. And you have, because we've got an image, dot duration is the equivalent of speed here, and that's how long it spends engraving each dot. You've got power, you've got dots per inch for images, which you can also adjust. Bitmap mode is still there, and Jarvis by default, but here are your bitmap modes. These are different ways of divvying an image, of engraving an image. Have a look into them. I will do a video on that in the future as well, so subscribe if you do want these things. And then you've got your frequency and your engraving mode, uni or bidirectional. So all of the same stuff is there. What you can do is, if you adjust the settings yourself, this button right here, if you hover over it, it allows you to save your own settings. So test settings, let's put that in there, submit it, and then there on the drop down, you're now going to see your own settings that you've just saved. That's great, because trust me when I say this, The default settings they give you, the suggested settings are good, but they're never where you want it to be. You always want to refine your settings and save them. There is a new preview button here, which they've added. And if we click on that, it's now going to give you an idea of how your engraving is going to look. This is actually new. And as you can see, you can actually spin it around and see. I really like that. I like these kind of things that they're adding in there, because ultimately, and it's showing you there, you can move it if you hold right finger or the right mouse and that. Ultimately, these are good things because they give you an idea of where you stand. So that's our image. I'm going to touch on the framing in a bit, so don't worry. I'm going to delete that image though, and we are now going to go back into the text tool. So let me show you how the text tool works. So it's very similar. You click on, so let me talk you through it. You click on the text box and then click anywhere in the workspace, and then the words hello will come up. You can then type in whatever you want. So I'm going to do, actually I'm going to put subscribe. There you go. Look, a shameless plug there where I can't even spell the word subscribe. So we've got subscribe. We've got some options here now. Back on the right hand side, we're going to go, and it's recognizing it as text. By default, it tries to score it. Imagine that as the equivalent of getting a pen and drawing the outline of something. We can click engrave, and now it goes solid blue, and that is now going to color in the lines. And if you were going to cut something out of the material, you would click cut. I'm going to go on engrave here, and actually what we want to do is we want to readjust it over our image, and you'll see, and this is going to take me on to the next thing. Blue on blue isn't very good here. I can't really see it. So what you can do is you can right click on the item and you have all of your different layers at the bottom. The point of a layer is to separate things into easily manageable groups. If I click red, that is now, if you look to the bottom left down here, there's a red button. If I just copy and paste that and set the next one green, there's a green button. You can click either one, and it will automatically select all the things that are within that layer. That is brilliant because you can select a load of colors, a load of items together under the same layer and adjust all the settings at the same time, which is what we want. So there's our text anyway. You're probably wondering, how do I change the type of text? Well, at the top right here, or the top bar here, you're going to see the font type, which if you click it, it's now on the left here. And there is a search bit here and a filter button here. So you can actually filter out, or you can scroll through. I like that it still gives you the sample of it. There is limited free against some of them. So it looks like they're going to start charging for some fonts. I can't say I'm a fan of that. I don't like that, but it looks like that's the route they're going down. But that being said, there are still a lot of the old ones. One thing I will note though is, so there's a font called Monotype Cursiva, which is on the other one. It's a nice joined up writing font. I looked for it earlier and I could not find it. If I type monotype, it's not there. So I get the impression not all of the original fonts from xTool Creative Space are available on this. So I don't know where they've gone. Hopefully you can still add them yourself. But let's just choose that font there. So we've chosen our font. You've got this if it has italic or bold, and then you can adjust your sizes here. There you go. Or you can manually do it and it will automatically update accordingly. If we had 2 rows of text there, you can actually now go into here. So I'll hover over it so you can see what it's called, more. It's not called anything. It just says more. If you want to move the text closer together, you drop that arrow there. If you want to make it wider apart, that. And also, if you want to split your words up bigger, you can also do that. So if you didn't know that, there's a bit of a tip for you as well. I'm going to go back to 0 for both. There's a left and a right align as well. And there is also a uppercase or lowercase, which is quite good. That's handy. So there you go. That is your text. Your settings on the right are all, well, they're slightly different because we've got a text now. And text is considered a vector image, I guess. There is speed instead of dot duration and power. And once again, if you click on Fiber IR reference, and then this time I'm going to show you something. It says one click set. If we click on that, it's going to give us an interactive grid square, material test square that shows, it doesn't show here, you're pretty much getting the same color. But if we were on wood, and maybe I should show you this on wood just so you can get a good idea. So now I'm going to select wood and we'll go with a birch plywood. So now if we click on one set, there you go. You get different shades. So power and speed, and you can select it and it will automatically update your settings based on which one you select. Hopefully you can see that. So if you like a dark engraving, you click on that. That's going to give you a dark engraving. If you like a light engraving, you click on that one. Really handy that is, like I said. but I always recommend doing your own material tests as well. But that's a great place to start. So there you go. There is that one. We're moving on to the shapes. So you've got your line tool. So right over here, vector shapes. You've got your standard line tool, if I could actually select it, where you left click and drag. You can hold shift if you want it to be straight or not, or if you want angles. So there you go. And you get your settings on the right like we've just gone through. Then you've got your rectangle tool, which so select rectangle. You can either do it like this or you can hold shift. So without shift, you can basically do whatever size you want. With shift, it keeps it consistent on the X and Y axis. Circle and polygon, similar. I'm not even going to go into them. Star, there is now a star one. And we can put that in there again. And then finally, the vector tool. So I don't know if you guys know about the vector tool. It looks like a pen. This is a really good thing. And if you ever want to draw a pattern around something, this is the way to do it. So if I zoom in on this, and let's say, for example, I want to draw around this. You basically click and you make lots of little lines around the item. And as you can see, it's a really good way of getting bespoke controlled vectors. And now if I click engrave over here, you can see I could just localize an engraving and select a really defined area. That's really handy and a really good one if you haven't used that before. Moving on, let's go into our elements section here. So these are vector images. Let's select a turtle. I'm going to change the layer so you can see it. And there's our turtle. As you can see, you've got all of these element things that you can still bring in and use. You can get your own vector images as well, but I'm just showing you what there is so you can hit the ground running like I said earlier. Once again, you have your one-click set over here. I will set the material back to anodized blue. There we go. You've got your one-click set over here, and because we've got the blue light, you've got different shades now, and that will allow. I'll tell you what. Let's try something. Let's go for the really light one. Sorry. And let's click on preview and see if it actually looks like it showed in that one-click set. So there's our engraving there. I'm going to make it the brighter version now. And let's see if it actually changes to show a brighter version. It does. That is good. I like that. So there you go. This does visualize what you should get. And that's a nice touch. Things like that are always welcome when they bring it in. So we're going to delete all that out there. So that has shown you what we want there. So next thing I'm going to show you, so you now know how to import an image, you know how to edit an image, you know how to bring in vectors, bring in shapes. So the next thing I'm going to show you is, let me just show you the offset tool because I went past that a minute ago. So let me draw our square here and there you go, you have it. I'll make it red so you can see it. So up there is this little hatch box. There is the offset command, and this is good if you ever want to invert an SVG, a vector image, to make it the colors flip around on the dark surface. You can do inner and outer as you would normally have done, and there you go. I'm going to keep this because we're going to move on to framing now. And actually I won't keep that. I'm going to do something more complex. Let's do a deer. So here's our deer. So when you have your engraving image, if you've got a camera like this, great, but I always recommend to actually frame your item first and make sure it's in the right place doing the right thing. What a frame is it's when it draws an outline box on your engraving bed, showing you exactly where it's going to go. And with this, you're going to see in the bottom right, there is a little hatched box. If you click that, you're now going to see that bounding box around your item. If it's a photo, it'll be the same. It's going to engrave a square in that bounding box shape. That's what you're getting right now. But there is a way to actually get the outline of the deer or of a photo or whatever you want. And you can click this little arrow here and there is outline. And you're going to see right now, as you can see on the screen there, you now have an outline of the actual deer, which is really good. There are two different types of engraving. I do find if it's too complex, the image you're doing, it might not work. The other thing you can do in the framing settings area is you can adjust the light power. In this case, I've got a blue item and the laser doesn't really show up very clearly, the bounding box. So if you whack the power right up to 10, it means you've got more chance of seeing it. So that is how you frame an item. I always recommend framing. Make sure you do it, guys, because it's worthwhile to do. So there you go. You click that and it turns it off. If you click it and it's blue, that means the framing is on. Simple as that, guys. So one last thing is the bottom right here, you're going to see a plus or minus area, or you can click on the numbers. This is where you can scale your workspace to various zooms amount. You can also do it though by holding control and putting the middle mouse wheel in and out. That's another way of doing it. And as you can see, both things basically do the same thing there. So there you go. Right, so we've got our item. We want to engrave it now. So how do we do that? Well, let me come down to process down here, and there's an arrow there where, first of all, you can, let me go simple first. If you want to engrave that now with your chosen settings, you just click processing and it will bring up this screen. And as you can see, it's showing you your path preview now. And if you click play there, it's going to show you exactly how it would engrave it. That's good and everything. And up the top right, it shows you how long it will take. 19 seconds, very quick. You can also, if we go back, you can, before you do that, click on this arrow and there's an option to evade smoke. With some woods, lots of smoke will come up and it can distort the laser. This option here will basically tell the laser to follow a path that is going to be away from smoke. There is also auto planning, which it automatically works out where it's going to go. You can click on auto defining though, and that is where there is something called smart processing. If you click that, and then let's go back into process now. It probably won't be clear in this one because it won't, or it will. It's not doing it all this. It's doing it in the most optimized way it considers it, and it's going to take 14 seconds. If you've got something more complex like a text or something like that, it will save you a lot of time. I'll do a video on that at some point as well. But all you need to know is if anyone ever says put smart processing on, you can do it here. You can also engrave by layer. You can tell it how to engrave, top to bottom or bottom to top. And also you can get it to do everything all together, so it would go across and do everything, or one item at a time. So we click process, and once you're happy with it, you click start. That is then going to send it. You hear the beep, and as it says there, press the button on your machine. I'm going to cancel it in this case because I'm not going to show you that, but that is how it works. That gets you engraving your item from start to finish. So that was a really quick run through. Like I said, this is to get you up and running and to show you where everything is. I am going to timestamp this video, so if there's a specific thing you want to go back and see, make sure you do it. But I hope that gets you guys up and running. I hope you have learned something here, and subscribe to the channel because I am going to be showing you in detail all of the new features. I'm going to show you how to do the material test. I'm going to show you how to invert a vector image. I'm going to show you how to set up projects. I'm going to show you how to use the material array, rectangular and circular arrays, and the other new features. So thank you very much for watching. Have a great day, and I appreciate the support from every single one of you.